Hi, good afternoon, people. This here is a recording of the air traffic control trace and radar into London Heathrow a few years ago now. It was obviously before the pandemic because there's planes in the sky. You'll need to go and buy airplane tickets like you bought toilet roll, just so we can have passengers on the aircraft again. We're not here to look at that though. We are, if my slides move on. I did this morning. There we go. We're here to talk about critical decision making. I'm an airline pilot, so I fly aircraft around the world. I'm on the Boeing 787 fleet, fly for a major UK airline, and I get to fly all over the world. I was in Washington last week. Because you all aren't buying airline tickets, I've got most of December off. My next flight is on Boxing Day off to Hyderabad. But I'm going to talk to you about how we can take stuff from aviation and bring it into the software world about making critical decisions in our team. When, world is ending, your servers have gone down, it's Black Friday and all hell is breaking loose. How you can work as a team to come to a resolution and solve the problem and get your servers or whatever it is you're trying to fix back up and working again. A bit about me though, I've mentioned the fact I'm an airline pilot. I'm not just that. When I'm not flying planes, I'm a .NET developer, work mainly in the Xamarin, Maui, as it will soon be called, space and IoT. I was an engineer in the car industry for many years before flying, and I've kind of moved back to being an engineer writing software. Love electronics, designing them, playing with them, teaching people new things. So hopefully today you'll learn something you can take back to your team on Monday next week. This is my office. This is a cool office, isn't it? $250 million. This is a picture I took of one of our aircraft being delivered from Seattle, a 787-8 aircraft. So it's the smaller of the three variants, -8, -9, and -10. $250 million. That's just the list price. So obviously airlines do deals and things like this, but that doesn't include things like the seats you're going to sit on. It doesn't include the galley where they make the meal you eat. It doesn't include the in-flight entertainment for the movies you want to watch. All of that is added by the airline later. So, it's an expensive company car, and they let me fly it, it's fantastic. Some of the views out the flight deck window. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll notice my Twitter handle at the side of all the slides. Whenever I go flying, I always post some pictures of the view out the window and what I see. On the left-hand side, you'll see St Elmo's Fire. It's got many other names, but that's what we tend to call it. Picture taken from airliners.net, and what that happens is when you're near a thunderstorm, the air around the aircraft is ionized, and you get plasmas across the leading edge of the windows, the flight deck windows, and you get this kind of lightning kind of look across the windows. It looks really pretty. And so, wow, look at that, that's great. And you do what this pilot did, and you get your camera phone out, and you take a picture, and a few seconds later you get struck by lightning, because it's typically a prelude to being struck by lightning. I'm not sure if I do this, you can just about make out there. That's a navigation display. You can see all these patches of green and red. That is the weather radar returns, showing that they're getting quite close to thunderstorm. They wouldn't have been doing this without a very good reason. They, probably a big line of thunderstorm, a school line going across America maybe, and they need to pick their way through it. So you have to pick the best path. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But, being struck by lightning, I've been struck, lost count how many times now. It doesn't affect the aircraft. It just means lots of paperwork, and the engineers, when you land, need to go and check the aircraft, find the burn marks, 'cause it makes an entry burn and an exit burn, and have to go and patch those up with some new paint, etc. The picture on the on your right is the view of the head-up display. 787 has a head-up display, and that is what the view is. And you find any 787 pilot anywhere in the world, they'll have that picture on their phone, because we all take them, because we're all nerds. And you can see there, you can see the altimeter tape on the right-hand side, so we're at 31,000 feet. And we're just below you can see the two contrails just above us as the sun's rising. We've been chasing these two aircraft across the Atlantic all night long. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning now. We're just coasting in over Shannon Island and descending down towards London. We got an early descent, and we got down below them, and obviously as you descend you go a bit quicker because gravity, and we got to catch them up a little bit more, which meant we were down there, we blocked the airspace, they couldn't descend, which meant we landed before they did. It's not a race, but first the car park wins. You gotta have some fun at work, haven't you? some interesting facts about the 787. I'm not going to read them all out. You can read as quick as I can speak. But yeah, it draws a lot of electricity. Think kind of your jacket in Back to the Future. Lockheed Orion spacecrafts. Yeah, I want to have a go. It's got the same flight deck, so pretty pleased, NASA. And then the windows. Anyone been on a 787? Hands up. Yeah, there's a few people. Excellent. It's great, isn't it? It's lovely. You get off feeling really refreshed because you're not breathing the air that's been through the engines. It's all been compressed electrically, which is why you got all those megawatts of power. And you get off feeling a lot fresher than you would on any other aircraft. So highly recommend booking a 787 flight if you can. Flies pretty quick. Yeah, we're quite fast, which is why we catch the other aircraft and beat them to the car park. It's got a turbulence sense technology as well. The angle of attack vanes at the front can sense the turbulence that is happening and can change the ailerons, which are on the wing, which do our banking left and right, and can change them quick enough. And it's not, don't think 737 MAX technology here. They've told us about it. We know what it does. But it does that subtle adjustment such that it rides out the turbulence a lot better than other conventional aircraft. But think about that, writing the code for that. Think about how you as a developer would have to... I'll stand back here purely because these bright lights up here are blinding me and I can't see you. Think about writing the code for that, that you've got milliseconds, not even that, because it's only about 40 feet between the nose of the aircraft and that control needs to be able to make a bite into the air. You've got to process it, decide what to do, and send a signal to a motor that's going to move, or a hydraulic controller which is going to move the ailerons. And you have to do all that in milliseconds, and you have to make sure you make the correct decisions. So, yeah, it's quite a complex aircraft. Why am I not moving on? It's decided to break on me. Anyway, probably got a flat battery. How do we keep our jobs? You know, we make these critical decisions. And next week, I go into simulator. Next Thursday and Friday, I go into the sim to do my 6-monthly sim check. It's two days, so Thursday and Friday, I'll be in the sim, 6 o'clock in the morning. So, bleary o'clock, getting up and going into simulator. And I hand my license, my career, I hand my license across the training department and say, there you go, I'm ready to be checked. And they will take me through 2 days of giving me all sorts of things going wrong. I'll be in the crew with a captain, and that's the simulator there. And when you walk across that bridge, it looks like the flight deck of the 787. And after the 2 days, hopefully, we'll sign on the back of our license to say we're fit to fly again, and off we go back to flying passengers when you all book airline tickets. Additionally, we have a medical exam every year, so a few hours with the medical team being probed and all sorts of odd things happening. We have a flight check every year where we have a training captain sit and watch us do a normal passenger flight to make sure we do things on the line that we should be doing. We have a technical exam every year. We just had it last month. That's kind of technical stuff about the aircraft. SEP, Safety and Emergency Procedures, that's where we go and spend the day with cabin crew and go through all the emergency procedures, like how to open a door in emergency, put out a fire, put on an oxygen mask. So we're checked and trained to a very high degree. But we're still human beings. Yeah, we still have to make sure that we can make decisions. And this is what I'm going to try and share with you today. On the 787, we've got over 1,000 computers making trillions of decisions every second. Yeah? So those computers could be anything from the window blinds on the 787 is dimmed electrically. Could be one of the avionics computers. There's 2 bays, the left and the right. They've got 16 computers in each of them. Each computer's got an A and a B channel. Yeah, and each of those has got code run on them. We've got computers all over the aircraft. So I sat down when I put this talk together a few years ago, and we got to 1,000. Me and the engineer that was doing it got bored, and we was like, yeah, that'll do. Thousands of computers, all doing lots of decisions. But at the end of the day, all the computers do is surface its thoughts to us, the warm, fleshy bits that sit at the front in the pointy ends, and it's us to make a decision as to what we're going to do. Now, we've all heard AI is brilliant. We've got self-driving cars. Hands up if you would get on an aircraft that didn't have a pilot sitting on the front. Got a couple. OK. I'll ask you a question then. This is interactive. There's lots of questions and backwards and forwards here. Do you think a computer, an AI model, could have made the decision to land on the Hudson? Or do you think it would have turned back to the runway that it had just taken off from? Yeah. You think it would turn back? Yeah, I think it probably would have turned back. But then it would have hit a building, because when they modelled that afterwards, it would have made the decision to turn back and crash because it wouldn't have had the energy to get there. But the pilots on the day made a decision to land on the water, saving everyone on board. All right, the aircraft got trashed, but hey, we'll get another one. It's just metal. We can make a new one. So it's us, the warm, fleshy bits, that have to make the decision. Yeah, quite often I've worked in teams where, in software teams where, you know, they have these DevOps processes, and it just go and off it goes, and it pushes out to production, and all is well, brilliant. You know, the tests were all great, excellent. But there's no human at the end, just before it does that last step to make sure you're happy that it goes out. That's something you should possibly think about. This here, I'm going to play a little video. Hopefully the sound will work. You imagine the two pilots here on board were off to Tenerife. They were, you know, got up in the morning, had their cornflakes, their Weetabix, you know, kissed their partner goodbye, ruffled the kid's head, skipped off to work, 2 days on the beach in Tenerife, get in. But do you think they would have expected to have a day like this? There's Flappy Bird. There was Flappy Bird.
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Thompson 253 Hotel, engine failure. We are continuing with northwesterly and then inbound towards Wallasey.
Thompson 263 Hotel, roger. All runways available for landing. Surface wind 0, 2 degrees at 5 knots.
I love the at the end. Do you think they had, you know, skipped off to work? Do you think they was expecting to have an emergency like that? Probably not, you know. That's not what you expect to have. But I guarantee you, before they even pushed back, before you even passengers got on board the aircraft, they would have carried out a safety talk about, if this happens today, this is what we're going to do. If this, then that, effectively, to us developers. They would have talked about that. And so if we have an engine failure, we'll continue, we'll go inbound towards Wallasey, which is over Liverpool, and we'll hold there, we'll dump some fuel because it's over the sea, and then we'll come back and land back at Manchester. If we have this failure, we'll do this, okay? They would have talked about carried out an emergency drill, okay? In that case, it's an engine surge, which is where the engine is backfiring because the bird went into the engine, bent some of the blades, and it can't function correctly. So they would have said, over engine surge, I'm going to turn off the auto throttle, we'll confirm that. I'm going to retard the thrust lever to idle. If it doesn't stop the surging, we'll then shut it down. So I'll grab the fuel control shut-off switch. I'm going to turn that to cut-off. And if we get any indication of fire, I'm going to pull the fire handle and fire a squib. Now, that's a memory drill that I've learned from being trained on a 787. They would have carried out a similar drill. It's different aircraft, but a very similar drill on board that. But they would have briefed that before they pushed back. They would have practiced it in the sim every 6 months. They would have practiced failures like that. To know the fact that when it happens, you can just do it without even thinking. Which is why the voices you hear from not just the pilots, but the air traffic controller is really calm, relaxed, no one's panicking. We've just got a job to do, and we get on and do it. I think this is giving up. Old school. Who remembers these two instances? By the way, if you have a fear of flying, you're in the wrong room. No, we'll move on from the scary bits in a minute. Who remembers these two incidents? We've already mentioned the Miracle on the Hudson from hitting a flock of birds. Had 4 minutes before they decided to land on the Hudson, and everyone got off. And the only issue they had, you can see the aircraft sinking there, is the fact that towards the end of the checklist, there's a button you push, which is called the dump valve on the Airbus. And what that does is closes all the little holes that the air, when the engine puts the air into the cabin that you breathe. Obviously, it needs to get rid of some of it, otherwise it will pressurise too much. So there's big holes at the back of the aircraft, and there's big valves that close up. And the idea is that you can close those in the ditching, and then the aircraft will become effectively a boat and float long enough for everyone to get off. That item was at the end of the checklist. They didn't get to that item because they were too busy trying to land and save everyone. So it's like, get rid of the checklist. We've done what we can. We're going to land now. And if they pushed that button, the aircraft would have floated, and they maybe have been able to get it out easier. It sank. They got a crane and lift it out. But everyone got off. That was the important part. But again, they wouldn't have expected that when they went to work that morning. How about Captain Pete Burkill landing the 038, coming back from China, and landing just short of London Heathrow's runway there. They had about 30 seconds to save the day. Captain decided, when they realised that they didn't have the power and they were descending too quickly, that he was going to move the flap lever. We do that when we do a go-around, which is where we go back up in the sky again. We put full power on, we reduce the flaps. And the idea is you reduce the flaps so that you've got less drag, and then you can climb away again. So it's like, well, it works in the go-arounds, and at the time he was looking at this, just at the bottom of the image here, you can see the van. That obviously wasn't there when the aircraft crashed. If it was, they probably need new pants. But just here, where the dot is Hatton Cross London Underground Station, a very big BP petrol garage. And that is where, when they did this in the sim and did not move the flap lever, that is where the aircraft hit. So imagine hitting a packed underground station at rush hour, a big petrol garage. You're in carnage. But he moved the flap lever. He had the presence of mind. In the sim, we do this because. So he moved the flap lever. They got about a 30-foot bump into the sky, because that's what happens. And they managed to clear all of that and land on the grass. There's a couple of cuts and bruises. I think there was a broken arm. But everyone got off. Everyone was alive. It closed Heathrow for many hours, caused utter chaos across Europe. But everyone was alive. So again, a critical decision. It wasn't a computer-made decision. The computer didn't even know what was going on. You look at both those accidents, the computer was like, I don't know. You're the pilot, you do it. So, again, the warm, fleshy bits need to make the decisions. Just look at that. Has anyone read this book, The Chimp Paradox, by Professor Steve Peters? Don't see any hands. Highly recommend you go and read it then. It's a fantastic book. At least the first third. After that, it gets a bit deep into how the mind works and different mental illnesses. But effectively, we've all heard of fight or flight, haven't we? We've all heard of our kind of caveman, cavewoman kind of reaction that when there's a loud bang, oh dear, it's scary, run away. That fight or flight thing. You see a fight going on, and it's like, well, nowadays you get your phone out and video it, don't you? But it used to be, oh, I'm backing away from that, I don't want to get involved. That is your chimp, and that's how Professor Steve Peters talks about it. So it's a chimp response, your caveman person kind of response. And you have the human that kicks in a little bit later and says, actually, I do want to video this. I'll get my phone out, and it's quite funny. It'll be on YouTube later. Or, actually, the caveman calls you to drop the frying pan because it was really hot, and your human kicks in and says, well, don't pick it up because it's really hot. We'll get an oven glove this time. Or there's a big, loud bang, and you're like, what the hell was that? And then you look up and you see a car and all smoke coming out of it, and it's juddering along the street. All right, the car backfired. It's fine. Don't panic. We know what's going on. So that is your kind of... The chimp is to save you, yeah? And the human kicks in and does the thinking. The chimp doesn't like thinking, it just runs. But we have different decision-making types. Like I say, if you haven't got a lot of cognitive thinking time, it's really quick, haven't got a lot of time, that's where you rely on your cave person responses, your inner chimp to save the day. If you have a lot of time, and that's naturalistic. If you have a lot of time, it's analytical. Your human can sit down with a whiteboard in a team, say, yeah, we'll think this through, we'll come up with a plan, and we'll solve it. What we also have in aviation, and I've worked in many teams now in software development, and it's very rare that I see this, like a run book, I've heard it called, a checklist. Very rare to see it in teams, but we have checklists. So I talked about how we shut down the engine if we have an engine surge earlier, and I can do it from memory. I know exactly where my arm's got to go and close my eyes and sim and just do it. But we have checklists for everything. And there'll be one that will pop up on our ICAS screen, and it'll be an electronic checklist. But if the screen's broken, we have a big, fat, and I'm not joking, it is literally 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick book called the QRH, Quick Reference Handbook. We could grab that, and we know it's broken down into sections. We know which section to go through for engines. We know what page in that QRH to go to get to an engine failure checklist, which backs up the memory drills that I've done. And even though I've done it by memory, we still get the checklist to check that I've done it correctly. Yeah, to make sure I haven't skipped something because I was panicked and I was worried and my chimp was getting involved. So that's where we would use a rule-based checklist. The other advantage of having having a checklist is the fact that you can train your chimp so that when it sees an engine failure, just like those guys see, this is really bouncy. Don't like this. It's turbulence. When the where was I? When the those guys had the engine failure taken off out of Manchester, they were not panicked on the radio, were they? Their track controller wasn't panicked. That's because they'd trained their chimp. Every 6 months, they've been in the sim, seeing this happen. So the chimp was quite happy. It's sitting in the back of the cage. And we quite often say, if something bad happens, if you've got the time, just take a few moments, close your eyes, take a deep breath, reoxygenate your brain, make the chimp happy, and we say feed it a banana. You know, so chuck a banana in the cage, and it's not rattling the cage and saying, "I want out of here, run." Just keep it calm. You know, wind your watch is another one. That was something I got taught way before Professor Steve Beaters wrote this book. Old trainers used to say, sit in your hands, wind your watch, do something that's unrelated to what's going on in front of you. And we can, even an engine emergency, a major fire, something going really bad, you can spare a few seconds just to do that. So we always do that, take a few seconds of time. And the idea is get the chimp out of the way, let it calm down, and get the human to wake up and go, oh, what's going on? So, daily decisions. Back to you being engaged again. So, what I'm going to ask is raise your hands if it's a chimp response or human response. So, being struck by lightning, chimp response. There's a few. Human response. Just see if you're awake. Yeah, not everyone wants to put an arm up. You know, it's up to you. But yeah. Initially, the instant thing they hear climbing out of Toronto, and it was a clear sky. We could see stars. There's one patch of cloud in front of us. Nothing on the weather radar whatsoever. And we flew through the patch of cloud, and as we flew through it, bang! Big lightning bolt struck the aircraft, and it struck just there. I sit just here, and it hit there. And yeah, it was a chimp response. I screamed. Captain giggled. And yeah, and then the human woke up, kicked back in, and we carried on with checking procedures, making sure the aircraft was okay, the cabin crew was okay, the passengers were okay. You know, and then we carried on towards London because there's nothing wrong with the plane. Got to London, handed it over to the engineers with a lightning strike climbing out. You know what happens and everything else. And then they took a good few hours, took the aircraft out of service, put another one in service, and check it over and find these burn marks. Engine surge, exactly the same as that Thompson flyer. I had it onwards towards Zurich, climbing out of London. Just at the top of climb, just the engines are starting to spool back because we've got the top of climb. And bang, aircraft swinging all over the place. Chimp response. A few more hands, you're getting engaged now, I can see it. Human response. Yeah, initially, it was a bit of a chimp response because I was angry, because I was hungry, hadn't eaten, it was about 9:30, I had no breakfast, and I just put the first forkful of sausage in my mouth, and I was like, bang, also I'm food going everywhere. I was like, oh man, come on. Really upset, but then the human kicked in and said, oh no, actually this is probably a bit serious, forget the sausage. Put the tray on the floor and off we went. Medical emergency, airport closed due to snow. These are sorts of things that have happened. These are all real life. Happened to me as an airline pilot in the last 20 years of flying around. The last one, baggage system failure. We'll come back to that later because that's the next exercise you're all going to do. Like I said, audience participation time. So what do we use to decide how to make these decisions? We all like mnemonics, don't we? We all like to have our little acronyms for things. Software development world, aviation world, car industry. No matter what industry you work in, you love to have a shortened version of something. So this is the one we use. So we have T for time, D for diagnosis, O for options, D for decision, A for assign, and R for review. TDODAR. DODAR, take the T off, DODAR part is from NASA Apollo era. They had slightly different letters, but it's exactly that model. Exactly the same thing, but they use different letters because, well, it's NASA and space and stuff like that. As an airline, we added the T probably about 9 years ago, I think now, because we see the fact that actually time is quite important. Come on to why in a second. But if you need to remember this, yeah, T, because time, you've got to remember that. You've got to watch, you're going to remember that. And we all love Homer Simpson. Do! And then, I've got an idea. So the do is that, what am I fixing? It's all gone wrong. And the is I've got an idea. I'm going to fix it. And if you break it down like that, so I was taught it when I was first introduced to this when I joined the airline 16, 17 years ago. And it's stuck ever since. So time, how much time do we have? We've got an engine failure, an emergency. Yeah, okay. We might think, we haven't got a lot of time. But they're planning to go on towards Wallasey and wander around and dump some fuel. Probably got a good 20, 30 minutes of bimbling around. They've got 2 engines, so you've got spare. But what caused that one to break? Is it going to cause the other one to break? Do I need to think quickly here, or can we buy some more time? We'll quickly run through the TDODAR process and realise, actually, we can buy a bit more time because the other engine's okay. We hit a bird and that one seems okay. One we like, being a Brit, we love a cup of tea. So do we have time for a cup of tea? And this is things like that medical emergency I mentioned earlier, or the baggage system failure. We have time for a cup of tea, so we'll press the call bell and ask cabin crew for a cup of tea. Obviously, if they're busy doing something like giving CPR, as they were in that case, we wouldn't ask for a cup of tea because I'm a bit busy. But the important bit is start a stopwatch. So as soon as something goes horribly wrong in your world, no matter what it is, start a stopwatch, look at the time, write it down. If you're in a meeting room, put it up on the top of the whiteboard, on a Zoom call, Teams call, wherever it is, someone write it down. Yeah. The other thing is T stands for team. You're not alone in this. You may think I'm, in my office at home, and I've got to solve this, and what's going on, and I'm the only one that can do this. You're not alone. Yeah. Talk to the rest of your team. Talk to the rubber duck you've got stuck on top of your monitor. Talk to your partner, your wife, your kids. No matter who you talk to, you've all heard the phrase rubber ducking the problem. You're talking to someone or an inanimate object. Just by verbalising it, it slows your brain down. And when you speak, it means you have to breathe in. Yeah? And this is all back to human factors. Because you're talking aloud, you have to breathe in. And typically, because you're talking quickly, you breathe in with a really deep breath, reoxygenates the blood, yeah, reoxygenates the brain, and then you can carry on. And it's that simple little tricks like that, which means that you can start to process the situation. Another thing back from time as well, and I think it's even there, actually, another book. Who's read this book, Black Box Thinking by Matthew Said? Do you guys, anyone here read books? I mean, it's a fantastic book, this is. It goes into decision-making, things that happened. There's even a bit of AI in there for us geeks. It's a bit of the beginning, though, where it talks about, and it's actually a thread through the book, it talks about a young woman going to hospital for a very simple procedure. And she's gone into the hospital for this simple procedure, even to the point where she gives her husband a shopping list and says, can you go to the shop and get those, and I'll see you in a couple of hours. Love you, kisses, goodbye, and everything else. Husband goes off to the shops, drops kids at school, yada, yada. Lady goes into the operating theatre for this simple procedure. So there's an allergic reaction to the anaesthetic, and her throat swells up. The surgeon is there, tries to get an airway in for the trachea, can't get one in. Senior doctor, get out of the way, I'll show you how to do this. Tries to get one in, can't get one in. The senior registrar is on duty because the nurse had hit the crash alarm. Comes rushing in. It's like, what's going on? How can I help? Right, get out of the way. I'll show you how to do this. I've been doing this years. I know how to do this. Tries to get an airway in. Can't get one in. The whole time, there's a junior nurse standing there with an emergency tracheotomy kit, which is where they slit just into your throat here, the soft squishy bit, and they put an airway in there, in a tube. Whole time she's standing there. But because of the authority gradient of these doctors, they know what they're doing. They're super clever. They've got the white coats. I'm just a nurse. Yeah, they were the junior person on the team. Didn't step forward and say, do you want this? Because I'm sure if they'd pushed forward and said, look, I think you should take this. Do you want this? Then the doctor would have said, actually, that's a brilliant idea. Let's go with that. If they'd shouted, it's been 11 minutes, because that's how long before they started the emergency tracheotomy. It's been 11 minutes now that this patient has had no air. They would have stopped and changed their mind. But because they didn't start a clock, because no one thought to look at the clock other than the junior nurse, yeah? Sadly, the patient passed away a few days later from brain damage. But just little things like that, it shows the fact that in life-critical decisions, you need to start a stopwatch. You need to know how long you've been cracking on with this problem, yeah? You think about, Amazon going down on Black Friday. How many millions they lose per second. Yeah, well, how many seconds has it been down for? Just little things like that. Just bring it back into our world. The DDO. Oh, what have I done? Diagnosis. All we're trying to do here is diagnose a problem. We're not trying to say what we're going to fix, how we're going to fix it, or anything else. All we're trying to do is diagnose it. Yeah. What is it we are trying to fix? Yeah. Discuss the symptoms. What have we got? Well, the engine's going bang, the aircraft swinging, the exhaust gas temperatures. Okay. Exhaust gas temperatures gauge is going up and down, and we see some birds earlier. So just trying to discuss the symptoms. Ask open questions. Now, an open question is a question you can ask where it doesn't elicit a yes, no, maybe, a single word answer. What you want is to ask a question that gets the other person to stop, think, and give you a long format answer, at least 2 or 3 sentences. And the idea behind that is, if you ask someone who's under stress, yeah, who's maxed out, they doing the flying of the plane or on the keyboard, doing the thing, whatever it is they're doing, yeah, and you ask them a question where they can just give you a one-word answer, they'll give you the one-word answer that first pops in their head that they think will get rid of you and get you to go away. Yeah? If you make them stop and think, yeah, you break them from that chain of thought, they step back, they take that deep breath that reoxygenates the brain, and they'll give you an answer which actually is going to help. Yeah? If they don't give you an answer, it's because they're so maxed out. The first sense that goes when you're maxed out and you're stressed is hearing. So if you see someone, it's like, Bob, Bob, hello, you know, and shout in front of them. If you have to do that, they're so maxed out. You need to break them away, you know, take them away, take them for a coffee, whatever it is you need to do to bring them out of it. Agree what's got to be tackled as part of the team. Yeah, make it quick and concise because the clock is ticking, so you need to make sure that you crack on with it. And at the moment, all we're doing is deciding what is wrong. Oh, options. No need to label this. You've all done it. Brainstorming, the whiteboard, write it up. You know, on your Teams chat, whatever it is you're doing, however you come across, put up all the solutions. A good one is give her another option. You know, and call on someone at the back of the room that hasn't spoken yet. Call on the junior member of the team. What do you think? You know. Certainly, if you're the senior lead, call on those junior members because they're probably sitting there, just like that nurse, not sure what to say. I'm not sure if I should talk in this meeting because I'm junior, they're all senior, and the authority gradient goes. You quite often see this. I've been in meetings where everyone's chatting and everything else and come up with lots of ideas. Then the dev lead walks in, yeah, or the manager or the head of sales walks in and sits there and says, right, what are we doing, team? And everyone goes quiet. And it's like, no. Talk up, carry on talking. You know, they're just a human, just like you. You know, they get paid a bit more money and they might have a company car, that sort of thing, but they're just human like you. Take inputs from everyone, including people outside your team. So if you work in the dev team, take input from clients, customers, the sales lead, you know, the IT team, whoever it is. This is important as well. No such thing as a silly idea. That silly idea that you have is your brain not being able to process it in such a way that you can put it out there as the great idea. So say your silly idea, and then your colleague that's, will hear that and actually might be able to help you bring that into a proper idea which is actually going to save the day. Again, don't drag it out. Clock is ticking. Now we get on to the fixing part of it, the DAR part of this. So as a team, you decide. Who here is a team lead? Show of hands. All right. This is definitely for you. This here is super, super, super important. Make sure it's a team decision. And the reason for that is if you don't decide as a team, yeah, and the team leader, the manager steps in and says, nope, we're doing this and this is how we're going to fix it. Yeah, you're not going to carry your team with you. They'll trudge back to their desk. They'll turn off the team or Zoom's call and call you a few choice names. We should be doing option B, not option A. Doesn't know what he's talking about. If you get to a point where as a team lead, you want to say, actually, you know what? We really need to do this. Explain to your team why. Don't just say, no, we're doing this. Explain why, yeah? And let your team come with you. If they still won't come with you, yeah, even after you've explained it, your explanation isn't good enough. It's as simple as that, yeah? Carry your team with you. Make it a team decision because then you'll get their best work. Otherwise, you're just going to upset them and you're going to get crap work out of them and it's just not going to work. The clock will run down. You'll end up in a smoking hole in the ground. No one wants to see that. Again, don't spend too much time. Quite often, the first or second idea that's put on the board is typically the best. Not always, but typically. And then, this is important as well, state the decision. Write it down on the board, put it on a Slack channel, wherever you put it. We are doing this. This is our decision. We're going to fix it this way. This is how we're going to do it. And then failure to decide to fail. So if you've got this list of options and you just can't pick one, you're just not sure, I don't know, should we do this, should we do that? Just pick one. Roll the dice, I don't know, download an app in the App Store, whatever it is. Yeah, just pick a decision. Yeah. If you decide to do nothing, it still has to be a cognitive decision. You still, as a team, decide, you know what, let's give it 5 minutes, let's do nothing and just see what happens. I've had to do that with a failure on board the aircraft, crossing the Atlantic, middle of the night, and the computers were giving us all sorts of weird information, stuff that we was like, what the hell? That's not linked to that. What's going on? So we decided, made a conscious decision. We started a stopwatch at the start of it all kind of popping around again. We started a second stopwatch and we said, right, we're going to give it 2 minutes and see what happens, settles down. After 2 minutes, it was starting to get a bit more, okay, right, we're starting to see a pattern here. And then we decided what to do. But we've made a conscious decision as a team across the flight deck to give it 2 minutes. but make that constant decision. Put a time on it because your timer is still running from your at the beginning, and make a decision. If you can't make a decision, pick one, go with it. When you review it, you'll get input from other teams, your customers, your clients, the sales marketing team, whoever it is, will start shouting and screaming. You know then you've made the wrong decision, and that's where you come back and pick another one. A, assign. This is where you team leaders, those who put their hands up earlier, this is where you step in. Put your team leader hat on. Yeah, I'm a member of the team, but I'm actually leading this team. And it's first time, really, the team leader should get involved. The manager, the team leader, whoever it is, should be involved. And the reason we suggest that, and in my world, it'd be the captain that makes this decision, is because now you need to assign the task. And team lead, if you're a good team lead, yeah, and you're worth the money, you get paid extra to the other people, then you should know the strengths and weaknesses of your team. And you're not going to give poor Bob a task, you know, to do with a database, but they know nothing about databases. You know, you're going to give it to Jill, who is the expert on the team with databases. Yeah, you're going to make the right decision of who needs to do what to make it work. Make it short and sweet. The reason, if you give someone a task that's going to take 2 days, you don't know for 2 days, and the clock's ticking down, you don't know for 2 days if they're getting on with it, how they're getting on, are they crashing and burning, do they even know what they're doing? Yeah, so make it short and sweet. Make it small chunk. Give them the big picture, but just like, I just need you to do that bit for now and let me know how you get on. Brilliant. You go and do that. Right, you do. And as a team lead, if you're a good team lead, you shouldn't be involved in solving this. Yeah, you should be able to assign your tasks and then just overwatch. And communicate and do all the communicating and overwatch of everything else. It's not a race, so if you're the developer that's been given the task to solve, go away, solve it, don't rush, because that's when you make mistakes. Don't delay. If you finish, go back to the team lead, go back to your team members, like, I'm done, do you need hand, do you need help? What can we do to make this better? And if you're anyone on the team, not just team lead, but consider overload. If you see your friend and your colleague is still logged in at 2 AM, still sending emails and notes on Slack or wherever, they're overloaded. So, you know, break that by having a chat with them, you know, take them away from the computer for a coffee, a beer, whatever it is, but just break that chain, because otherwise you're just not going to get the best work. Review is a bit everybody forgets. At the very end, have we fixed it? Yeah? I think in a dev world, yeah, your servers crashed on Black Friday, you got them back up again, you restart the cluster, it's all working, brilliant, let's go to the pub and have a beer. But what caused them to crash in the first place? If you fix that problem, the root cause that caused them to crash, because otherwise you go to the pub, you get your first pint, and just as you're about to sip, that's it all crashes again, and all the phones goes, and you know, you get the message again. So just think about it. Do we still have time? Well, we said we've got until the end of the day to solve this. We've still got a couple of hours, actually. Let's kind of move on and see if we can find the root cause of what's caused it. Quickly go back through the TDODAR, because now you'll have inputs and options that will be generated because of what you've done. And you'll start to see things. Is it still a good decision? Have we still made the right decision? And really importantly, we're human, we're fallible, we make the wrong decisions. As a team, we've all done it. Yeah, I'd say a show of hands, but I know you're all going to put your hands up. If not, you're lying. Don't be scared to change your mind. Yeah? It's better for you, for your team, yeah, in the wider business, you as a member of the team. If you say, I've messed up, that was me. Sorry, you'll get more respect than trying to hide it, because you'll get found out. And when you do get found out, everyone's, Bob, he messed up, he deleted the database, you know, he dropped table, idiot. You know, but you know, we've all made mistakes. Yeah, that was me. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it, but you know, there we go. I'll learn from it next time. What can we do to fix it? And you'll get a lot more respect. So that is our model that we use, is TDODAR, time, diagnosis, options, decision, assignment, review. Yeah? So think Homer Simpson, I've got an idea. That's the way you remember it on Monday. And you'll be like, what was the, I can't remember. Yeah. Really important, review. Review, if I've not said it enough, review again. And that is where, as a team, you write your checklists. Yeah? That is where, as a team, you write in the run book what's gone on. Every flight, every single flight, no matter what's happened. Could have been a perfect takeoff, cruise, landing, nothing went wrong, but we always, and it's actually in our shutdown checklist before we even shut the aircraft down fully, we carry out a post-flight review. Yeah? You can take this and just subtly modify it, yeah, and use it as your review for anything. You can use it as, you know, reviewing PRs, you can use it on reviewing something before it's pushed to production. You know, was the outcome positive or negative? What could we learn from it? What could we do better next time? Yeah. Was there an impact on safety? Yeah. Was there a commercial impact? Could we have done it better, such that we spent less dev hours doing it? Or, you know, could we have had a standby system next time that, you know, stands up in AWS because Azure's gone down, or whatever it is? SOPs, standard operating procedures, did we follow them? Yeah. If you've written checklists and you've got them around the office, did we follow the checklist? Well, actually, no, we didn't. Was there a checklist? Oh, actually, there was. OK, next time we'll remember to use that checklist. Or actually, there isn't a checklist. Let's write one. Yeah. Further actions will be where you do your wash-up. You're going to have a wash-up meeting later of, actually, for us, it'll be go to the bar and have a beer and talk it through. And that is where you're processing. You're giving your brain time to think through the problem and solve the issue. This is my office. It's a 787. I make lots of decisions every time I go to work. As a team member with a captain and maybe a third or fourth crew member. It's a $250 million jet. 253 passengers sitting behind us, the other side of that locked flight deck door. And not in the moment, sadly, but you know, there should be. Buy airline tickets. But practice makes perfect. Every 6 months, mine is next Thursday and Friday, I go to the simulator and we practice and practice to train our chimp to not get scared and run away. But now it's your turn to practice. I've said quite a few times, audience participation. We've got 20 minutes left, and we're going to practice the TDODAR. I'm going to give you a problem, and you're going to get together. We're all friends here. Yeah? If you haven't got friends sitting next to you, make friends with the people around you. Just get together in small little groups, and I'm just going to go through this challenge. So imagine this. It's a foggy day in London. It's fogged out. The National Weather Service is saying that it's going to be fogged out to lunchtime. Liars. The weather's never what they tell you, is it? So the weather app is always wrong. You can see there, it's quite low-lying fog. You can see, if you know London at all, that is the M4, and that is the M1. And you can see the Houses of Parliament are just around there. And the reason we know that is what clears fog? Hot air. There's plenty on the motorway with cars stuck in traffic. And the Houses of Parliament is full of politicians. There's even more hot air. So we know full well that it's going to be fogged out for most of the day. That's a picture I actually took, coming into London many years ago. So what will your team do? You've gotten into teams now, haven't you? You're not scared, yeah? Getting into teams. What's your team going to do? This is a scenario. We're in Helsinki. I know it's just up the road, but this is actually what happened to me. It's 4:30 in the morning, London time. You get to the airport an hour before departure, so that's 3:30. Your wake up is 30 minutes prior to that. So you've been woken up at 3 a.m. to do a flight back to London. You're tired, you're cranky, you haven't eaten yet. You haven't even had that first cup of coffee. You know, the world is not good. Got 150 passengers, completely full flight, back to London. High club load, that's the people that pay a little bit extra to have a slightly nicer seat at the front. Check's complete. On the day that this happened, we had an engineering tech problem with the aircraft, so we was dealing with that. So we had 2 versions of TDODAR running side by side. 2 stopwatches trying to solve this problem of could we go because the aircraft was broken or not, and the situation you're about to deal with yourselves. But assume check's complete. The weather in London's thick fog, and it's the weather report saying it's going to last till midday. Would that be right or not? Air traffic control, it's what ATC is to us. We advise you've got a slot. Now, a slot delay, when you hear us pilots, we kind of slip these things. Air traffic control giving us a slot delay when we do the PA. And you're like, what the hell is ATC? And what is slot? A slot delay is a little window that you have to be wheels off of the runway. You can go 10 minutes before, so 5 minutes before, 10 minutes after. So that 15-minute window, you have to be airborne. Yeah, wheels off the tarmac. Not starting your takeoff run, literally wheels off tarmac in that window. So you can start your takeoff run 6 minutes before. It takes a minute to go along the runway to get airborne. And that is it. If you miss that slot window, you have to apply for a new one. And it's anyone's guess when that is going to be. It could be in 10 minutes' time. It could be in 5 hours' time. You don't know. TRM, turnaround manager, that's the person with the viz jacket and the clipboard, you know, the really important person. They rush in and say, I've just been told on the radio the baggage system's failed. Engineers are on the way. It's 4:30 in the morning. They're on the way from home, probably. We've not got all the bags. I can see we're missing half the bins, so we've not got all the bags. So what will your team do? We're in teams, aren't we? Yeah, we're ready to talk to each other? Don't be scared. So you've got 60 seconds. Are we going to go or are we going to stay? Talk. It's quiet. Time's up. That was quite easy because I did the T for you. I gave you a minute. Yeah? Who actually started using the TDODAR model? Or you just started talking and decided we're just going to do this? There's a few hands, not all of you. Hopefully you'll learn. So hands up if your team's going. Quite a few. Hands up if your team has decided to stay. Okay, some that are going to stay for the bags, some are going to go. Okay, we'll see what happens. There's some more information then. She's sent off. You can send a text message. It's similar to an SMS, but it goes via different systems. You send a text message back to London, and you can interrogate the system back in London and ask, when would the next slot be available? And it's come back and said 8 o'clock. So that's 3.5 hours away. Yeah. You can request in the same system, what is the aircraft doing today? It's got scheduled to complete 6 flights, all completely full. This was late November, so it's the lead up to Christmas. Families are trying to get home. It's a busy time of year, as it always is. So it's completely full flights. So that is the new information you have. You've got 60 seconds. Go. Don't forget TDODAR. Time's up again. Those 60 seconds go quick, don't they? So we'll do it again. Which teams are going? Hands up. Oh, more, okay. Hands up if you're staying. We just got a handful now. Oh, okay, fair enough. We'll see what we think now. Some more information. Cabin crew come in. They've finally brought you that cup of coffee you've been thinking of since you woke up at 3 a.m. And advice, guys, you got a load of gold card holders. They're the people that have travelled with you lots. They're very important to the airline. They spend millions of pounds each year. We've got 12 of them, which is pretty unusual on a short-haul flight. 12 of them in club, and they've got a meeting in central London. They're really tight for, and they're trying to work out how to get from Heathrow to this. You've got an underground map. We're like, oh, OK. That's when we tell the cabin crew what's going on. And we use a mnemonic called NITS. This isn't the hair stuff, because I haven't got any. It's just nature. It's a way of passing information super, super quick to colleagues, air traffic control, cabin crew. Nature is the N, intention is the I, T is for time, and S is special instructions. So we said, OK, we've got a problem with the baggage belt. We haven't got all the bags, plus we've got this engineering problem as well. Our intentions are, at the moment, we're going to carry on as if nothing's going on and try and get away. We're still waiting for information from the TRM as to what's going on with the bags. Time, we'll update you in 5 minutes. We've got a few minutes before we have to push back. We'll update you in 5 minutes. Special instructions, carry on as normal, and we'll see if we can find you an underground map later. I think I might have one in my bag. So cabin crew say, OK, well, there's a large group of teenagers down the back of the aircraft. This is how quick the cabin crew can think. Not just there to feed you, chicken or beef, tea or coffee. Do you want wine with that, sir, and nuts, that sort of thing. They're there because they're highly trained as well. So large group of teenagers at the back, all part of a group of a band, and that's when the TRM is standing there. Turnaround manager says, well, I've not seen any baggage equipment, out of gauge stuff, trombones and tubas and cellos, that sort of thing. I'm not seeing any band equipment. Normally you see that sort of stuff. It's in big black flight cases, isn't it? So, that's your additional information. 60 seconds, go. Try to remember to use the TDODAR model. Time's up again. Bit more information I'm going to give you now. The fact that it took me forever to work out how to do that in PowerPoint, the little slidey thing. Eventually, I found a way of doing it. PowerPoint's great, but when you want to do slides like that, yeah. Bit more information for you. Well, actually, before we do that, we'll go back to who's going. Hands up. Who's staying? It's the same group up there wants to stay. Yeah. You just want to stay in Helsinki, don't you? You don't want to go home. So baggage belt engineers have now finally spoke to the TRM on the phone and says, look, it's about 30 minutes, there's a motor broken, we've got to change, it's going to take us half hour to fix that. We're all engineers, we know whatever time we say isn't the real time, is it? 30 minutes really means a couple of hours. You know, because you think it's super quick, you think, I'll just go in there and edit this bit of code and it'll be fine, and push it production, it'll all work, and you don't realise that bit of code does that, and there'll be demons and it all falls apart. So they say 30 minutes, take that with a pinch of salt. And because we're, you know, quite north in Helsinki, just like it is in Oslo, it started to snow, which is fantastic. It looks pretty, but who's been on an aircraft, if you're local, you must have been, where you've had to be de-iced? Yeah, it's not a 2-minute job, is it? It's a fairly lengthy process. We have to do processes on board the aircraft to prep it, including, remember that dishing button I mentioned earlier? We closed that to make sure that none of the fumes from the de-icing fluid come into the aircraft. We go through all sorts of procedures, and then they go and spray the wings and the aircraft and everything to get the aircraft ready for snow. So it takes a while. It costs, on a short-haul aircraft like this, about 800 to 1,000 pounds, so what, 1,000 to 1,200 euros. It's not cheap. So that's a cost to the company that they weren't expecting. And if you've got de-ice, your slot, which is now only 2 minutes away, you know, could disappear. We've got a hand up. Have we got a question?
Yes. Is it for all planes that the baggage is problem, or is it just this one plane?
All right, so the question was, because we don't have a mic, do we have a mic at all? Can we get one? Are you... No, we don't have one. OK. The question was, is it all planes the baggage belt's broken for, or just this one? We don't know. All we've been told is the baggage belt is broken. We don't know. So, last time, 2 minutes in your teams, and then we'll have a final go, no-go. So you did the...
No, we have no.
Oh, sorry, yeah, could do with a hand mic, actually, but... OK. Not sure if the guy across there's got one, the tech engineer. I'm going to ask him. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'll try and be off shortly.
Don't worry.
Do we have a hand mic? Time's up. It's the final alarm. So what did you decide? So we have a show of hands the last time. Who's going? Nearly everyone. Who's staying? There's one person at the back there that's staying. OK. Right. So the bit that everyone forgets, yeah, is the fact that when you've solved the problem, you need to tell the team, the business, what's gone on. Yeah? We do that on the flight deck by giving a passenger address. So I'm going to pick this team down here just because they're close and I don't want to run up to the back there. Which one of you is good with English? Because, yeah? Excellent. Right, so I want you to stand up. Sorry, what's your name?
Philip.
Philip. So Philip is our captain, and he's going to give our passenger address. So if you want to say, you know, what you'd say in the situation. I don't think the microphone's on.
Now it is.
Yep, there you go.
Well, we are gonna take off, but we have been told that the packages might not. All right, let's try like this. We have been told that our baggage might be delayed. We will try to get your baggage on another plane, so that you can get your baggage once you arrive at your destination.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well done. I think there's an off button on there somewhere. I'll take it. Thank you. Okay. The rest of you are passengers on board this aircraft. That was your captain just speaking. What do you think? You want to get off, don't you? Yeah? So you've just been told the bag might not be loaded, so you probably want to get off now, don't you? Well, hold on, is my bag loaded? Because I'm worried about that. Yeah? So you PA to the passengers, what we did, or what I did, because it was my sector, is welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to you all. Thanks for joining us promptly on board this aircraft, flight back to London Heathrow. We are going, oh, hold on, camera, do my hair. Catalogue pose. We are flying back to London Heathrow. It's just started to snow outside, so if you could take your seats promptly, please, and we'll get this flight underway. Once we push back off stand, cabin crew are taking through a safety demonstration on board this flight today. We'll taxi out and we'll take off. We do have a delay from air traffic control. We're trying to get in front of that delay, so please take your seats. Once we're airborne, I'll come back to you and give you the latest time of arrival and weather into London Heathrow. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you again shortly. So you see, I've not mentioned anything about the delays, the problems, the tech delay, the baggage system. Yeah, I've given them enough information to keep them happy. I've said it in a nice, calm voice, so they're quite happy. Yeah? Think about how you communicate, what the problem is, what you're trying to do, and how you're trying to solve it. Because sometimes, if you share all the information, sorry I picked on you, hope you don't mind. Sometimes, if you share all the information, you upset everyone. If we'd said about the bags, yeah, everyone would have been upset on the aircraft. There would have been a person on there that wasn't annoyed at the airline, at you, as crew. But the way I did it would give us time. So when we was airborne, we worked out the fact that it was the out-of-gauge baggage belt that was broken. So it was all the band equipment that was missing. So then we could say to the cabin crew, right, go and chat to the lead of the band group and just say to them, look, their kit's not there. Where do they want it delivered when it arrives in London? We've already got organised to be on a flight later. We've got 3 hours to get to London. So our times, you know, we've got another TDODAR running with a time. And that's what we did. We found a London Underground map to give to the gold card holders, so they were happy. Yeah, we've got a second cup of coffee, so we're really happy now. And the only people we upset was the band members, not everyone on board. But we managed to turn it around by saying to them, OK, your equipment is going to be loaded on the next flight. It's due into London at 3 o'clock. And they were doing a performance at the Royal Albert Hall. It's a big, prestigious place in London. And when we was getting off, as we did back then before COVID times, I went back because I did the landing. I put my hat on and said goodbye to everyone. A young girl, must have been early teens, was getting off, and she was pretty small, but she played the cello. And to her, the fact that we was delivering her cello to the Royal Albert Hall, and she didn't have to take it on London Underground, and that, she was over the moon. We were absolutely over the moon. She thought it was brilliant. So think about how you share that message. The end of TDODAR should be a little mini C that says communicate, and how you communicate the message to your team, to the wider team, the business, because you don't need to tell them everything. Yeah? You do need to write it down, review it, but you don't need to tell them everything, because what you tell them, you know, could come across in the wrong way. You had the best of intentions, but it could come across the wrong way. Yeah, make sure you communicate timely manner. Again, post-flight review. Make sure you do a wash up at the end and review it all, and any further actions, etc., etc. And just a few items. I know I'm just running out of time. Don't forget the time. Don't forget to state it. Don't forget to write it down. When you finish doing your work and you fix a problem, think about a checklist and review it. And if you're in a team leads who put their arms up earlier, think about the authority gradient. If you're a team manager, think about it even more. You know, when you walk into the room, does it suddenly go quiet? Well, the authority gradient's wrong. Yeah, stand up and say, I'm human, I'm fallible, just like you. You think I'm doing it wrong? Tell me. Yeah. And then lastly, make sure in your critical processes, your DevOps processes, wherever it is, where if something went wrong, it could really, really hurt the company, really hurt your team. Make sure there's humans involved. Don't rely on the computers to do it all. Yeah, don't think that it's just going to solve it. And it worked last week, so it'll work again. Make sure there's a human that pushes that final button. because that human could be the break between you all fouling or all going to the pub and having a beer. I'd normally ask if there's questions. We haven't got time today, but I'm going to be around listening to everything later. Please find me. Find me on Twitter as well, or email me if you've got any burning questions. And thank you very much.